All right, let's talk about something that, well, it probably hits close to home for a lot of us. Why is it so much easier to be kind to literally everyone else but ourselves? It's this strange internal battle we all seem to fight, but it turns out there's some real science behind it.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. Your friend messes something up, and what do? You're the first one there telling them it's okay, that they'll get through it. But when you make a mistake, oh boy, that internal monologue can be absolutely brutal. It's a bizarre double standard, isn't it?
And this is where things get a little weird and a lot of fun. You are probably not expecting this, but the key to understanding this whole psychological thing might just be hiding in plain sight in Toni Braxton's classic ballad, Unbreak My Heart. Now stick with me here, I promise it's going to make sense.
Okay, so what's really fascinating is if you go back and watch that video, you'll see Toni Braxton clutching her arms, caressing her face, putting her hands right over her heart. It looks like pure 90s melodrama, right? But here's the thing. According to researchers, these are actually textbook examples of physical self-compassion. They're these little power moves our bodies intuitively understand.
So, we know it feels common, but what does the actual data say? Just how many of us are walking around with this supportive, loving voice for our friends and an angry drill sergeant screaming in our own heads? Well, the research shows it's not just a feeling, it is a staggering reality. That's right, 75%. That is a huge number, and it comes from Kristin Neff, who is one of the leading researchers in the entire field of self-compassion.
And that just perfectly illustrates the scale of the issue here. We're talking 3 out of every 4 people are way more emotionally generous with others than they are with themselves. So look, this is not some personal failing on your part. It's a really widespread human tendency. And the most important takeaway here is, if this is you, you are definitely not alone. So what's the solution then? Well, the answer lies in cultivating self-compassion. But to really get it, we need to understand how it's different from something we hear about all the time: self-esteem. Let's break this down because this is so important. Self-compassion is like having a loyal ally in your corner. It's unconditional, it doesn't go anywhere, especially when you fail. Self-esteem, on the other hand, that's more of a fair weather friend. It's based on judgment, it's always going up and down, and it completely disappears the second you mess up. Which, by the way, is exactly when you need support the most. You want an ally in your head, not an enemy. And you know what's really wild? This whole internal conflict, this tug of war, it's not just in our heads. It is wired right into our biology. Our bodies literally have 2 different competing systems for keeping us safe, and understanding them is the key. First up, you've got the threat alarm. So when we criticize ourselves for a failure, our brain perceives that as a legitimate threat. This kicks our sympathetic nervous system into gear. Yep, the classic fight or flight response. We're literally trying to fight ourselves into being safe, which, as you can probably imagine, is an incredibly stressful and exhausting way to live. But, and this is a big but, we have another option: the care alarm. This is our parasympathetic nervous system, and it's this amazing evolutionary tool that we mammals developed to feel safe through connection. Just think about the warmth and gentle touch between a parent and a child. Self-compassion is all about intentionally activating this system for ourselves. It's a more deliberate choice, for sure, but it's a much, much better way to feel secure. So, being our own worst critic, what's the actual damage? I mean, what's the real cost? We often think that cracking that whip on ourselves is the only way to stay motivated, but it comes with a whole lot of unintended consequences. And here they are. Constant self-criticism doesn't make you stronger. It just wears you down. It leads to more stress and, ironically, less motivation. It makes it harder to bounce back from setbacks, and it fuels that kind of perfectionism that isn't about excellence, it's about avoiding shame. It is simply not an effective long-term strategy. And this quote just nails it. For a lot of people, and especially men, there's this cultural script that says being kind to yourself is weak. As life coach Taylor Christ puts it, it's like having that angry gunnery sergeant from Full Metal Jacket just screaming in your head every single time you slip up. But the research shows that real strength lies in support, not in self-punishment. Okay, so the good news is we can actually learn to be better allies to ourselves. This is not some abstract, fuzzy concept. It is a learnable skill with really practical steps you can take to intentionally turn on that care system we were just talking about. So, here are 3 simple but honestly incredibly powerful ways to do it. First, supportive touch. Yep, just like Toni Braxton, simply placing a hand on your heart or holding your face can trigger that care system before you even think a thought. Second, kind self-talk.
Use the same warm, encouraging tone you would use with a dear friend. And third, remember our common humanity. Realize that whatever you're struggling with, you are not the only one. It's just part of being human.
It really does seem like the R&B divas have all the answers. This isn't about selfishness or self-indulgence. It is about giving yourself the same fundamental support and care that you would offer to anyone else you love. It's really the foundation for everything.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. It doesn't have to be some grand, sweeping gesture. It can be small. It can be simple. But what is just one supportive thing you can say to yourself right now? It's a practice, and like any practice, it starts with a single kind thought.